observes that Beth is very quiet and Lori compassionate towards her. Later that night, Jo is lying in her bed thinking when she hears a sob. At once she goes to Beth. Jo asks Beth what is hurting her. She says she will tell her about it when it is time. Jo assures Beth that she can confide when she wants in either mother or herself. Next day, Jo confides in her mother about a project she has been thinking about for some time. She says that she wants to go to New York for some time to learn and explore new things. Mommy is surprised but not displeased. Joe even suggests, referring to the telegram that Mommy has received the day before, where Mrs. Kirk has asked for a teacher for her daughters. Joe wants to take the place. She also says that this adventure will also help her to get new ideas for her stories. Mommy asks Joe if this is the only reason that she wants to go away. Joe confesses that Lori is getting too fond of her. She adds that she cannot reciprocate his feelings more than being friends. So Mrs. Matt supports her and they decide that Lori should know nothing about it. The Match family too agrees with the plan. So Mrs. Kirk is happy to have Joe. When the time comes to say goodbye, Lori whispers to Joe that going away will not do her any good. Some time passes by and Jo sends a letter saying that she has been welcomed wholeheartedly by Mrs. Kirk and feels quite at home. She has a comfortable room to stay in, and Mrs. Kirk's girls have become fond of her. She wants Beth to look after herself. In the next chapter, the highlights are though busy with teaching her pupils, Jo still finds time for her literary pursuits. She realizes that money gives you power and she meant to have it, but she wanted to fill her home with comforts using it. She goes back to writing her sensational stories. Once she writes a thrilling story and goes to meet Mr. Dashwood, editor of Weekly Magazine, with her manuscript. The editor treats her coldly but observes that it is not the first attempt at writing and asks her to come back after a week. A week later, Jo returns to the editor and learns that her story will be accepted for publication if she agrees to remove the moral angle. As she is being paid a good amount of money, Laurie agrees. Jo agrees. She asks if she can send another one, and the editor says that she can, but there is no guarantee that all her stories will be published. So, Jo becomes a regular contributor of sensational stories to the magazine, though these are published anonymously. Gradually, she has enough money to take Beth to the mountains. However, she has a feeling that her parents will not approve of these stories. While Jo is busy writing about people who are perfect, she meets Mr. Bear, a language instructor in the city. He advised her to write about simple characters, and she follows it to the hilt. Jo often wonders about the charm that surrounds the professor. He is neither rich nor young, yet people gather around him. She realizes that Professor Friedrich Bear, is benevolent, and that is a character trait that she values highly. She is also influenced by his words, and when he says that the sensation stories in the newspaper are corrupting the younger generation, that she stops writing them. She tries writing stories for children, but the moral aspect has no market for it. She gives up writing for a while and is often sad. Professor Bear sees it. He helps her learn new things and lays a foundation for the sensational story of her life. In June, after one full year in New York, Jo decides to return home. When she says goodbye to Professor Bear, she invites him to come home if he is going that way. In chapter 20, we see the chapter highlights. Laurie graduates with honors and everyone is proud of him. Laurie asks Jo to meet him the next day, something which Jo dreads. She remembers how she used to look forward to meeting him, but now she wants to run away from him. While they are returning home, Laurie confesses his love for Jo. Jo says that the reason she went away was because of him. Jo says that she is very fond of him, but she does not care for him like he does for her. Laurie is disappointed but then comes to the conclusion that Joe is in fact fond of the professor she has told him about and is angry. Joe assures him that she is not in love with him and that he is just a good friend. She goes on to say that she does not plan to marry, but Laurie concludes that she will learn to care for the professor and he will have to stand by and see them go. Hurt, Laurie abruptly leaves her and gathering all her courage, Joe goes to Laurie's grandfather and tells him everything that has happened. The old gentleman is disappointed but does not reproach her. Later, Miss Lawrence suggests that Laurie should go away for a while. Laurie agrees, and Mr. Lawrence makes all the arrangements before his grandson could protest. In chapter 21, ever since Joe has returned, she has seen that Beth is thinner and paler than usual. She is afraid, but seeing that she is happy, she is at ease. After Laurie leaves, Joe suggests that Beth should go on a trip. Beth asks to go to the seaside with Joe. It is here that Beth finally reveals what has been troubling her. Beth says that she has known for a very long time that she will die soon and will not be able to see her family grow. She knows that Joe knows about it and confesses that she too wants a life like her sisters and will not have one. Jo confesses that she once often thought that Beth loved Laurie. Beth smiles and says she has always cared for him as a brother. Beth asks Jo to tell everyone about her deteriorating health when they return home. It is time that they should prepare themselves. But as they return home, they find that Mr. and Mrs. March already know and see Beth paler than ever. They knew that they would lose their daughter. The next chapter highlights it is a pleasant day and nice. Laurie is walking down an avenue with an absent minded expression, but his appearance is receiving a lot of attention from women. Suddenly, trot of a pony coming down the street catches his attention. He looks up and sees Amy in the carriage. He takes off his hat and greets her, saying that he has kept his promise to spend Christmas with her. Together they go to a party where Amy is going to meet her aunt. Laurie tells him that he has been to Berlin and Paris before coming to Nice. Amy notices that he has somehow changed and is no longer the shy boy he knew earlier. Laurie too notices that Amy has become graceful and charming. She tells him that Beth's health has worsened and she wishes to go home. But Mommy says that she will not get this chance again. They talk about many things until they return home. They decide to return home. After paying his respects to Aunt Carol, Laurie leaves while Amy goes to get ready for the party. Later, however, when they go to the party, by the time the party has ended, they do go to the party, and by the time the party ends, Laurie has concluded that Amy will make a very charming woman. In the next chapter, the highlights after the initial shock, the family prepares a special room for Beth. All her favorite things are there. Meg brings her children to amuse her each day. Even Hannah prepares meals that Beth likes. After some months, Beth finds it difficult to talk for long and pain overcomes her at once. Little by little, the cheerful face loses its happiness. Joe stays by her side all this time. It's during this time that Joe learns to be patient and forgiving. Often Beth asks Joe to look after everyone when she is gone. When spring comes, the March family realizes that soon they must say goodbye to their beloved Beth. In the next chapter, Laurie's love for Joe, meanwhile, diminishes by degree. He is unable to understand why this is happening and is angry. In his confusion, he writes to Joe asking her to consider his proposal again, but Joe would not. In her reply, she tells him that he will be happy with someone else, but he must keep a corner of his heart for his sister Joe. She also writes to him about Beth's declining health but begs him not to tell Amy about it and ends her happiness before she returns home. Amy, however, is terribly homesick and wants to return home. At the same time, a good deal of letters are exchanged between Lottie and Amy, and they have become very fond of each other. Meanwhile, news comes of Beth's passing. No sooner does Laurie learn of it that he rushes to meet Amy to comfort her. He finds her in her aunt's house, looking into the distance, thinking about Beth. As he comforts her for their loss, they both realize that they can stay together. Amidst this sorrowful time, Laurie's proposal to Amy is a reason to celebrate. In the next chapter, you will see that after Beth's death, Joe finds it difficult to comfort anyone and makes the house cheerful once more. She misses her sister desperately. Often seeing Beth's empty bed makes her cry. Even Mr. and Mrs. March find it difficult to hide their tears. Jo spends time with Meg sewing to stop being sorrowful, and one day her parents asked her to begin writing once more for them. Despite her doubts, Jo writes. Something about the story touches everyone's hearts. Then her father sends her story to one of the popular magazines, and to her surprise, she is not only paid for it but asked to write more of this kind of stories. Jo wonders why everyone is praising her story so much. Her mother says it is because she has put all her heart into it and told the truth. Soon Laurie and Amy announce the engagement. Jo is uncertain at first hearing about it, but soon she is busy making plans for the two. However, both Mrs. March and her realize that she is lonely. While wandering about in the house by herself, Jo comes across one of her old notebooks and finds a note for from the Professor Bear, where he has written that he will come to see her. Jo wholeheartedly wishes that he does come, for she is very lonely. One day, Jo is lying on Beth's bed and thinking she must have fallen asleep when suddenly it seems to her that Laurie is standing near her. A moment later, she realizes it is Laurie and greets him enthusiastically. Laurie tells her that he and Amy are married and that her mother has taken her to Meg's. Quickly, he tells her how it came about, and then looking at Jo, he says that she and Amy have fallen into the right places in his heart and that he is never going to stop loving his sister Jo and wife Amy. Laurie continues saying that while everyone had a good time, she was left to deal with the hard times alone. Jo smiles and says that she has had her parents with her and the babies to comfort her, but that she feels lonely. Later at the dinner table, everyone is happy. As Mr. Lawrence leads Jo to the dining table, he asks her to take the place of Beth in his life. Jo says she will try, but this brings tears to her eyes and a great sense of loneliness engulfs her. Just then, there is a knock on the front door. Jo opens the door and is surprised. Professor Bear is standing, beaming at her. She ushers him in. He apologizes for coming at a time when the family is celebrating. However, he notices that her eyes are sad. Minutes later, everyone is welcoming him warmly. Laurie, however, looks at him carefully before he too starts to like him. The evening becomes memorable. Meg leaves with the babies in time, and Mr. Lawrence too leaves to rest. After a while, when Professor Bear took his leave, he mentions that he is going to stay in the town for some time. After his departure, Mr. and Mrs. March silently approve Joe's choice. In chapter 27, you will see some more highlights. Over the next few days, Joe's behavior changes. She is happy, especially after coming back from her evening walks, where she often meets the professor. Everyone knows what is going on, but they do not talk about it, except Laurie, who is waiting for a chance to tease Joe, who loves her independence. After a fortnight of regular meetings, suddenly the professor does not come for 3 days, and Joe is angry. One evening, she goes to the town to do some errands and forgets to take an umbrella, and it starts to drizzle. Suddenly, she meets Professor Bear and they start walking together. She reproaches him for not coming and letting them think that he has returned. She mentions that her parents missed him, and so did she. The professor says that he is going to leave soon and that if it is not that much trouble, he can return with her to meet her family one last time. Joe is sad, and the professor is unable to understand what is upsetting Joe. Suddenly, Joe has tears in her eyes. The professor sees them and asks what is causing them. When Joe replies that it is because he is going away, that the two end up confessing their love for each other. They, however, decide to wait and raise money for their home before settling down. In chapter number 28, you see that a year goes by when the professor and Joe work and wait, hope and love, and write letters to each other. Suddenly, Aunt March dies, leaving Joe her house. Joe decides to keep the house and turn a part of it into a school for boys. Everyone is surprised, but they approve of the idea. She tells everyone that this is one of her plans when she wants to turn to reality. Professor Bear of Fritz too approves of it, and the fact that he is teaching boys all of his life makes her plan perfect. Soon Joe and Professor marry. They move into her aunt's house. In no time, the establishment becomes a school, and rich as well as poor boys are being taught by Fritz. Mr. Lawrence helps them in their endeavor and is proud of Joe. In time, Joe and the professor have two boys of their own. 5 years pass by since Joe's marriage. The time of apple picking is the most enjoyable time of the year, and everyone joins in. After one such memorable day of apple picking, Mrs. March is sitting with her daughters, and together they remember all the good times that they have spent together, and even then did not forget those who had left them.